Boom, we're live.
All right.
Hello, hello. This is episode 94 of
That's
CityClips Live.
awesome.
Thank you. And I'm happy to have Bill Lickson here today. Let me quickly give him an intro. And for those of you who are not familiar, CityClips Live is all about covering everything business and tech in North Florida. And Bill has been in North Florida for quite some time. He knows all things Florida, and he has an entrepreneurial background. I'm super excited to talk about his story. So he's a seasoned startup and innovation leader in Tallahassee. He previously served as the director of North Florida Innovation Labs. During his tenure, he spearheaded successful funding efforts and launched new programs like SBIR, STTR Accelerator. He also held the position of executive director at Domi Station, where he leveraged his extensive experience in the startup ecosystem to promote collaboration, mentorship, and innovation. Currently, as a board member of Domi, he continues to support entrepreneurs in their early stage ventures. In essence, Bill has played a transformative role in Tallahassee's innovation landscape and now is part of faculty at Moran College of Entrepreneurship. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Julia. I appreciate everything you do as a professional in the community and your generous support of the entrepreneurial ecosystem. And this is one of the many things that you do that adds value to the community. So thank you.
Thank you so much. That means a lot coming from you. And really, if it weren't for Domi, we wouldn't have met. And
that's true.
I don't think I would have met a lot of key people in town if it weren't for Domi. So it's really a privilege and an honor to be able to serve with board members like yourself. So let's go back to in the days. So you are FSU alum.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. Is that what brought you to Tallahassee?
Yes, actually, my dad was on the faculty. We lived in upstate New York, and they were tired of snow in the winter, and so he took a faculty position and moved us down. And so I've been in the area for a long time. I did high school here, undergraduate, graduate work here, and I've been fortunate to have worked in and out of Tallahassee throughout my professional career.
Yeah, you have an advertising background, worked for a large agency. You have all kinds of experience with big campaigns nationwide, statewide, and you also have started and grown businesses, right?
That's true. All that's true.
I mean, you can mention whatever you're proud of or not proud of, whatever you're comfortable with.
I think I've had generous mentors throughout my career. So I started in television and moved from broadcast television and production into sales management, and then did a lot of work with Comcast and worked with systems across North Florida. Had the opportunity to work with the corporate office. We actually developed the very first Comcast Cares campaign and won an Ad Council Silver Bell Award for that. And it was then scaled nationally and still running today. So that was a cool experience. I served on MTV's Advertising Advisory Committee way back when MTV played music videos. And it was an exciting time in the cable industry. And from there, I left. I had a political media company with some partners, moved into the digital world, ended up running digital strategy for the Zimmerman agency here and Zimmerman Partners in Fort Lauderdale. Had an opportunity to work with a number of industries, a number of large clients, included automotive, luxury. So got a great education there, and have started other businesses since then. So it's I've been fortunate to get exposure to great leaders across many industries, and then work in a space where we're highly accountable for investment made in media. So I learned a lot about how to track returns on investment and media spends, and I think that's an incredibly important part of being an entrepreneur, is figuring out where your customers are coming and how to get them and how to do it efficiently in ways that not only transact but build brand equity as well.
Yeah, sometimes people work backwards. They think of the product or the service first, and they don't realize, do people actually want to pay for these things? And that's where
That's that's right. Yeah. Uh, Fail fast and pivot. You don't want to spend years, as you said, building something nobody wants.
right. And I, should not fail to mention it was nice to have Marina Lickson, your wife and partner, a few weeks ago, and it was great to have her to talk about Jim Moran Institute and all the great work they do. So going also, okay, soon after that career, having that awesome career in media and doing campaigns and everything, when did you start your first business? Like, what made you want to? It was because of the demand, the need to run some campaigns.
I've had a number of businesses over the years, so I won't go all the way back. Uh, but again, sort of an interesting story, perhaps interesting to me anyway. Um, I started with a couple of friends of mine a bike rental company down at the St. Mark's Trail in 1989. And a year later, sold that to our partner, who then scaled it into quite an enterprise. He had 3 bike stores and actually built a facility there, was renting bikes and rollerblades and selling drinks. And so that was a fun enterprise. We originally started with a tent, trailers, and a few bikes to rent. And we were the only bidder from the Department of Natural Resources, and had to acquire liability insurance. We were insured to one event. And so it's been an interesting journey. So that's going way back. And I've had media strategy companies in the interval. I was the chief operating officer at a company that's now called Emotion Track, that does emotion recognition and engagement through a front-facing camera. So I'm a partner in a nutraceutical company that's got an exciting trajectory. And I do a lot of mentoring and advising that I'm not compensated for, and that's really my passion. Whether it's students or folks that I can help in any way.
Yeah, so it must have been, it was a no-brainer for you when the offer opened up, the opportunity to be at Jim Moran College of Entrepreneurship, because you were already doing it. You're already mentoring so many, including myself, through tough times and questions, and just helping people out, because it's not easy running your own business.
Yeah, and it's I think we're all inspired by teachers or coaches or mentors, or and I aspire to be part of the stature, not nearly the stature of the mentors that I've had, but it's uh, there's a great opportunity to continue to learn as you mentor as well. So it's not entirely altruistic. Some of it's self-serving in terms of the gratification of the experience and the opportunity to continue learning.
Yeah, you mentioned that you're still learning, and I love that attitude and perspective, because you're dabbling with AI. You're also learning what young folks are starting and growing as businesses, because the new, like, online businesses today is just a whole nother world. Um, so what's that experience been like, just seeing what young people are interested in growing, starting and growing over there at the College of Entrepreneurship?
Um, what's interesting is that the college supports mentors across campus, and you could argue, or I would argue, that there is value in understanding the entrepreneurial mindset. And a lot of it in the context of organizations, they talk about intrapreneurs. So folks that have an entrepreneurial mindset within an organization, whether it's a for-profit company, a nonprofit company, or a governmental agency, understanding who your customer is, internal and external customers, what makes the organization efficient, and other things that have a direct correlation to entrepreneurship. So it's interesting, and I'm a big believer in that thought process and philosophy.
You're also very passionate about building the ecosystem and supporting the ecosystem, the entrepreneurial ecosystem. There's so many organizations. Shout out to Arrow, Alliance of Entrepreneurial Resource Organizations. I didn't know it existed. If it weren't for you, you told me about it. But yeah, it's a great collaborative effort of key leaders in our community that are trying to support entrepreneurs here. So can you talk about the ecosystem just from your perspective, what you've observed over the years and where you think we should be headed?
Yeah, I'll share some thoughts about that. I'm fortunate to serve on a handful of boards, and in addition to having the opportunity to serve with you on the Domi board, I'm on OEV's, the Office of Economic Vitality's Economic Vitality Leadership Council. And so I sort of get a front row seat for our local economic development organization. And I do have some strong opinions about our economy and our entrepreneurial ecosystem. And I think we're in good shape. And I've mentioned previously, I think we are like an awkward adolescent with great potential for growth and great resources all around us. And I'm also excited to see organizations come together and collaborate. Another unsolicited philosophy is, 1 + 1 can be greater than 2. There can be mutually beneficial collaboration can be greater than the sum of its parts. And so I've seen that. You mentioned Jim Moran Institute and the Capital City Chamber of Commerce and Big Bend Minority Chamber of Commerce coming together to launch a great program called LEAP, which supports entrepreneurs at an idea stage, so very early stage entrepreneurs. And there have been great successes in organizations combining to generate significant grant funding for our community that would not perhaps happen had they not gotten together and written those grants together. And I with that idea of collaboration in mind, we have some truly unique resources, including the Joint College of Engineering, the FAMU FSU College of Engineering, the only College of Engineering with an HBCU. I see great collaboration between Florida State's Office of Research and FAMU's Office of Research. And that bodes well for us because one of the greatest economic drivers, or the potential economic drivers, is taking the intellectual property that's being created in the labs and the classrooms across all three institutions and then scaling that into enterprises. And Often those things are supported with patents and attract investment, and are these gazelle type companies that you see in the hubs of research around the United States, whether it's a research triangle or others. And you can look into a version of a crystal ball and see an I-10 corridor of innovation coming between the University of West Florida and all the way over to Jacksonville, where FSU already has a partnership with Mayo. FSU is building a huge advanced manufacturing facility in Panama City. So there's FAMU's doing some very interesting things across the Panhandle as well. So I'm excited to see the trajectory and the positive movement of unlocking this intellectual property and beginning to scale some tech companies in our own backyard.
Yeah, it's really exciting. And I feel like for the most part, it's like glasses are foggy and but it's starting to get a little more clear. I mean, to your credit and several others helping me understand Tallahassee and North Florida a little bit more, I am starting to see it. And I was in San Francisco during the .com era, and being young, not knowing much, I didn't realize what that, the significance of that at that time. And here being, I guess, early stages of where it could potentially go, not to repeat the mistakes of San Francisco, to be honest. And I can say that I'm from there. But yeah, like I could see everything expanding in a positive way, just in a smarter way. Even Gainesville, not too far from us. I still consider them North Florida.
Yeah.
And then they're doing amazing things in Alachua, with Sid Martin there. And really you brought these things to light and to help me understand, like, there's a lot that's going to happen in the next 10 plus years. How can Tallahassee prepare to be ready for that? If you have,
that's a great question. And you mentioned Alachua and Sid Martin. Those folks are incredibly collaborative. They were very helpful when we designed and built North Florida Innovation Labs, which is now Ignite FSU. And under the stewardship of the Office of Research, Valerie McDevitt and the team there. So that's a place to grow these high-tech companies. It's separate from university facilities. And when you have these facilities, you can keep the intellectual property coming out of the institutions in your community. And I think Alachua County is a very useful analog for what we can expect. No forecast in terms of exact time, but the idea that something amazing comes out of FSU, Tallahassee State College, or FAMU, and there's a place to grow that. And I'm proud of the companies that are in Ignite right now. And Persica's got great traction. Eric Graben's doing a fantastic job. Lawrence Binder's got an amazing company, and I may be missing others, but those are symptomatic of things we can expect in the future.
How can the business community support that? That's the other thing. I think if they could understand a little bit more, I feel like there's not enough understanding of what that lab and innovation in general, it is long-term, right? But it's going to be worthwhile. But Danfoss is a great example. They came out here 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And we didn't see, like, only until maybe the last 5+ years or so, now we're realizing, oh, that's why, right? The Mag Lab brought them here. So more of that can happen.
Yeah, I think you are helpful in this respect, meaning that one of the things that I think a lot of us agree is that we could do a better job of storytelling And Danfoss is a wonderful example, and there are many others. And to the degree that we get better at telling the stories of the successes, then that's when a community begins to generate momentum. And OEV has been recognized as doing an effective job and one of the better economies in the country. And I think it's time to build on the success and the momentum that we have. And you asked about, in addition to showcasing our successes, we need to acquire funding for businesses at every stage. And whether it's microgrants, which are incredibly successful in other communities, making those available to our community across, different industries. And then there are sources of capital here, teaching folks and institutions how to invest in early stage companies, putting together potential angel groups or formal venture funds that might have a sector or a geographic focus, whether it's magnetics or health or other things, or it's designed, as some places are, to invest in the intellectual property coming out of the institutions right here. And it's organized and formally vetted with experts, financial experts, familiar with venture. And as a result, it's de-risked because it's aggregated. And so those are proven drivers in other parts of the state and the country. So I think that it's rinse and repeat. We can learn through the successes of others and begin to deploy those things incrementally in our communities.
I've heard multiple times people comparing Austin to Tallahassee because Austin is the capital of Texas, kind of similar in size a long time ago, but they grew obviously pretty fast. And Michael Dell was very instrumental. Does Tallahassee need someone like a Michael Dell, or do you think like we could probably do something community-wide? Obviously, maybe not at that level, but is that what you're trying to also imply if we put together some funding and angel investors to support these early stage startups?
Yeah, Michael, it would be good to have a multi-billion-dollar international company, and Dell certainly was a huge contributor. But the culture of Austin is very unique in the country, and so it has sort of an internal momentum, and there are, aside from Dell, there are some really innovative venture-funded accelerators in Austin. And so that's another potential. And there are some folks in town that have, I would say, venture studios. I think what Tom Park and Bruce Thomas are doing in selecting a handful of companies with high trajectory and providing resources to those companies, including access to capital, has worked out well for them and the companies they've scaled. So it would be more, and I'm leaving some names out. There are a lot of individuals that are funding deals individually, or they have an informal network. And I think having a number of those, and then in some cases, institutions combine venture with their money plus state money, depending on the state. Ohio State and the state of Ohio have a very interesting innovation fund and that is professionally managed. And that, again, we can use some of those examples for scaling our tech to market here, as well as, the whole spectrum of economic development, the family-based businesses, small businesses, through the support of microgrants and other things. I think there's also an opportunity to look at OEV again and the statutes that define what they can invest economic development resources to make sure that they have all the tools that they need to optimize the fine effort that they have. That there may be handcuffs that we don't know about, and as a community and elected leadership, a lot of times awareness leads to insight and little or small changes that have large impacts.
That's really helpful. So with your background in media, if you were to have a small budget and to help highlight the story of Tallahassee or the vision of Tallahassee to help possibly draw big companies to come to town, like what would you focus on? What would you, if you were given, the opportunity to campaign on telling the story of Tallahassee, what would you do?
I think, my wife and I are fortunate to have a daughter at the top of the PR world out in Los Angeles. And I think she might say that PR has a snowball effect. So little stories add up to bigger messages about a community. And so I would say, start anywhere, tell your story, like, share. Social media is a big driver and is often the thing that gets a national story picked up because it's gotten traction or it's locally. So I'd encourage everybody to sing the praises of their enterprise and our ecosystem.
That's great. Now I know why you're saying, okay, you're doing it right now because we like to,
Yeah,
we like to
absolutely.
share. And yeah, nowadays with a 30-second video, it could just go viral and it'll make a positive impact and sometimes negative. But yeah, and I can't believe it. It's already at that time, and I want
Oh,
to make
no,
sure I know, right?
this
You're
was
doing such a
fun.
great job. I know, and I haven't even talked about. Let's make sure we shout out to Domi, and just share really quick for those who want to know domystation.org. You'll see all kinds of things that they offer there. There's a lot of activity picking up again. We're starting to see more folks coming in. There's a lot of social gatherings, events. There's some exciting things coming up related to AI. And I would love to end with you saying any kind of advice you would give to entrepreneurs out there. Like if they were to start building a business today, or if you were in the world of AI and the new era of business, what do you recommend?
I think that AI is an incredibly important tool for all entrepreneurs. And I would encourage folks to find an entrepreneurial home like Domi because you need the human interaction as well as leveraging all of the intelligence that's available. And places like Domi and others, you come for the facility. It might be the high speed, might be the co-working and high speed internet, but you stay for the community. And community, being an entrepreneur is going to be challenging at some point. And so having a good peer group that is not entirely AI is an important dynamic. So whether it's Domi or some other place, find peers that can support you and you can learn from. That's what I might suggest.
That's the best because you just end up building together with somebody else. They might not be building the same thing, but I feel like nothing motivates you more when others around you are also building and growing a business. So
That's right.
thank you so much, Bill. I could have
Thank
asked you
Julia.
more.
This was fun.
Yeah, this was fun. Hang tight. We're going to close out. And for those of you who haven't yet, subscribe for free at cityclips.net.
Do it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.